And welcome back, bookworms and listeners, to our chapter, no, not our chapter, our day two discussion. We are going to
Yes.
talk about Wind and Truth, day two. We are not going to spoil the rest of the book. We will discuss our thoughts. We will discuss what happened. We will potentially talk about theories, but for those of us who have read past day two, we are not going to spoil the rest of the book. We promise. Great. And I don't think there's a lot of Sanderson news because
This is the news.
this is the news. The news is
When in
Wind and
truth is
Truth.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
It's been pretty quiet on the home front, as it were.
indeed. People are putting up their reviews of Wind and Truth. People are saying things that I disagree with.
Really?
Yeah, but
Like what? Spoiler free.
spoiler free.
I've seen pretty glowing reviews so far.
Yeah,
I saw one thumbnail for a YouTube video is like, I was disappointed. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna watch that.
yeah. It's it's a little more I think a little more polarizing than Rhythm of War was, where everybody was like, "Oh, Rhythm of War, that's depressing," and then it gets really good. Um, unless you
I'm
do.
I'm v- I'm
Well,
always curious when I see book reviewers put their books out, especially so fast because well, I have a whole rant on that. But um I'm curious as to like what the allotment looks like of how dedicated are the Cosmere, how much of the Cosmere have they read, how much have they reread, you know? I
well,
wouldn't be
also
surprised. Sorry, go ahead, Griff.
oh, I was gonna say, what expectations did they go in with? Because I think on another series that I'm gonna just quickly go into, like one of the authors that I was following, she released another series, and everybody was talking how hard it was for them to get into it, and I'm like, well, that's because you went in expecting something like the other two series she's released when it's a completely different beast. And so
Mm,
if you go in with the expectation of it being like these other two series, then yeah, it's going to feel slow and it's going to feel disappointing. If you go in,
Yeah.
without any expectations or expecting this other kind of book, then I feel like you're probably going to be a lot more satisfied. So,
Yeah,
what
that's
did they
very
go in
true.
expecting Wind and Truth to be?
right, right.
I feel like with a book that is meant to be, well, not meant to be, but that can be polarizing, there's a lot of people that go in like, I want to go in absolutely blind. I'm not going to read the preview chapters, not going to listen to Sanderson or any content creators. Was like, fine. I love watching movies and stuff that way.
Same.
But you are also setting yourself up for failure if that book does not go exactly how you want it to. If
Yeah,
it is going to be different than your expectations and you just go in blind, you will be disappointed. Whereas Sanderson says, hey, this is not going to be a final ending. Like, this is not going to have a tone of finality to it,
Finality.
right? Not going to
Yeah.
be an end game. It's different than that. And he has gone out of his way to explain what to expect from this book because he thinks that is important to know. So if
right.
you don't hear that, I feel like you might be disappointed.
Yes,
But
I agree.
Yeah, and I agree. Like the fact is that everybody's expecting this to be some epic finale when it's not. It was never intended to be. It's
mhm.
supposed to be unending, yes, for era
Right.
one, but
Yeah.
it was never supposed to be the climactic blowout, of the whole Rosharan story. It's
Yeah. Take it
I
with a
was
pinch of salt because I'm the only one of the three of us who have finished it, and
yeah.
Trevor's halfway through, and Griff's on day four. So
yes.
I'm curious to
So
see
we
what
are.
y'all will think at the very end of it.
I wanted
I'm
to
enjoying
for
it
for
so
my
far.
for my spoiler review, I want to use that Wheel of Time passage where it's like a beginning, but I want to change it to an ending, not the ending, to start the video. I think that'd be
There you
funny.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah. But let's dive into it, shall we?
Sure. Yeah. Day
Cool.
two.
Day two. So, uh, Trevor, did you reread this with Sarah on the way home from the convention?
A good portion of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the one I feel the most comfortable in because I read it like 3 times.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
once by
So
myself, once with you guys, once with Sarah.
right. I only read it
Yeah.
the once and then out loud. And
Mhm.
it's been a minute. So day two starts with
No one's asleep.
nobody's asleep. Right.
Yeah.
Nobody's asleep. And
Yeah.
actually we get our first chapter where the POV jumps 5 times or 4 times. Dalinar, Yasna, Fen,
Yeah.
Yonaghan, right?
Navani.
And Navani. So 5 times. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
All the leaders of the free
And
world.
that was the best chapter up to that point in this book.
Straight up. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I liked Hoyd's rant in chapter 4 a lot. Hoyd,
Oh, that
Hoyd
was good. Yeah. Yeah.
there were a lot of really like
But stylistically, this was really cool, I
yeah,
thought. Like,
stylistically
Dalinar was not
and
asleep. Yeah.
yes. Yes. And then do we get Zeth's first flashback chapter in we do, right? Yes, because we read it and we only read
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I thought Zeth's first flashback chapter was also quite good. We get
Yeah. I'm loving them just overall.
yeah, yeah. We got a lot of description that, as we discussed in that chapter reading and discussion, Sanderson only had so many words to work with, and he chose to keep a very descriptive, beautiful passage in for Zeth. So day two has a lot of really high moments, right?
A lot.
Yeah. So we started with nobody's asleep. Everybody's getting the news that Odium is not just pausing. He is going to attack for the next 9 days. They're going
Yes.
to attack here, here, and here, right? They're going to attack Azimir, the capital. We have the ghost fleet, the secret fleet coming in from the Hornier Peaks. And we got a bunch of boats coming towards Thalena, which they were like, what? How? And then they've got a bunch of fused heading towards the Shattered Plains. And the idea is distilled that Odium's using a loophole to be able to take over all of the country by taking the capital, because that is apparently allowed
Right.
in Lethe law.
Whoever owns the capital of that
The
country
location
on
right,
day 10 owns or like
Right.
it is their dominance. Yeah.
Right when the contest of champions starts, that's when
Right.
the lines are drawn.
All the borders are set. Yep.
And then by the end of day two, we have a perpendicularity collapse and people are gone. Really,
And we don't
Yep.
know what happened.
gone. And we
Yeah.
don't know what happened.
Yeah. I
So-
feel like day 1 is like the recap and like bridge of Rhythm of War to this
Yes.
one. Day 2 is really the start of this book and like sets the tone, lets you know the stakes, sets the pace as well. And kind of just sets up all the characters' journeys for the rest of this book. I might be wrong.
Couldn't have
but
said it better.
So
honestly.
far, definitely feels that way.
That is exactly this day is the day of promises. Sanderson is
Yeah.
pushing them in our face.
Yeah.
And I'll agree with you. Like, I didn't say this earlier, but I posted my spoiler-free review because I wanted to get it out there
And
ASAP.
it was glorious and haunting.
Thank you. Thank you. I really feel that Rhythm of War and Wind and Truth are two parts to a single book.
I agree. And
Yeah.
I actually kind of
Crazy.
feel that way about Way of Kings and
Words of Radiance.
Words of Radiance, yes.
So Oathbringer is the only standalone book in the Stormlight.
Well,
Yes.
I see the first 3 because the third one has just such a great book end to those first 3.
I still
Not
think
wrong.
that the
I mean,
claiming
we're
of
in full spoilers, like,
Uriru
we-
is and the claiming of the Stormfather as by Dalinar as a bondsmith is, I don't know, there is a finality to it in my opinion that does end Words of Radiance on a certain note.
I feel
Yeah,
I feel that
I
the
see it.
10 or I feel like the 9 order, really 10 orders coming together at the Battle of Thalen Field is a stronger bookend than the Stormfather being bonded.
I
I
think Yasna
agree.
being crowned queen, Adolin and Shallan's wedding, which, they chose to be an event for Nexus. Like, I thought there was a lot of like beautiful endings to those first three. But I
Yeah,
totally see where you're coming from, Griff.
I agree.
Yeah, like I'm not disagreeing that Oathbringer has a stronger ending than Words of Radiance. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that I had that Words of Radiance has a strong enough ending in my mind. I'm not saying that everybody has to agree with me, that I
Hmm.
feel it sets it apart from Oathbringer more than Way of Kings set itself apart from Words of Radiance.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
fair. I
And I
also
think
think there's like they kind of flow through like timeline wise, and then there's the year jump.
right.
So I don't know. Maybe that's what's getting to my
There's
head.
there's that, and there's also like if we follow Kaladin's journey specifically, Way of Kings and Words of Radiance get him from slavery to a position of command and
Hmm.
figuring out more of who he is. And then Oathbringer is kind of like a plateau of this is
Yeah.
who the characters are, turbulence, and then Rhythm of War raises the stakes and it doesn't slow down. It just keeps going up. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
It's a
Yeah.
roller
that's
coaster
true.
that only ever kept going up. Paraphrasing
But
John Green.
anyways,
Here we
when in
are.
truth, day one, if this is book is a catapult, they're like pulling back. They are cranking that lever. Day two, they are cutting that rope, and we are letting it fly.
Yep. We really are.
Pretty much. So do you want to start with the characters? Go by events? Go by chapter?
Probably characters, I think.
Okay.
Let's talk
I feel
about
like I feel like we get a lot of Shallan in this one,
we do get a lot of
right?
Shallan, right? Because we start with them meeting is Kaladin meeting them in Azamir at the beginning of day two?
Kaladin's
I
gone.
think,
I feel like we get mostly Dalinar and Shallan in this one, from what I remember. Like those are the two I think about the most when I think
but
of
I
this
do
day.
think the Kaladin does meet them in Azamir.
He does,
Short,
and they
like
toast.
briefly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they promise to let's make it to the end of this thing. We're gonna share a drink and a laugh and reminisce after this is all done. And we as readers all think to ourselves, that's not gonna happen.
Yup.
But we would,
Yeah.
but it
Good luck
sure
with
would be
that.
nice.
It really
Yeah.
would. It's such a beautiful thing. Let's have that
It's
ending.
Right.
like it's
Yeah.
like an anime when they start sharing a character's backstory right before some big
Yeah.
battle. You're like, oh well, we know where this is going.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Or when you read the prologue to Lost Metal, you're like, I know where this one's going.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot to say spoilers for all Cosmere.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
That's why I've been careful not to say anything specifically, but
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
There, done. Car spoilers.
We also in Shallan and Adolin's chapter we find out about the Oath Gates.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like they discover the fleet and then
Was that day
they
one or
run
two? I
into.
can't remember.
It doesn't matter.
I
We did
believe
talk
that's
about it last in day
Yeah.
one, so we can.
Yeah, the Oath Gates have been corrupted, or one of the Oath Gates, I should say, has
Hmm.
been corrupted, or not corrupted, enlightened.
Which one was it?
Uh,
It was Azamir.
yeah, the Azamir Oath
Yeah.
Gate has been enlightened and has decided to side themselves with the singers when the singers get there. But until that
Hmm.
point, they will still transport the
Right.
Knights Radiant.
And that's
I
because the
actually have a
two
question.
Gatespren, which we learned were Inkspren,
Mhm.
were corrupted
Yes,
by Ja, not.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
Griff, you said you
I
had a
will.
question.
Yes. Is it on the Inkspren's will whether or not an Oath Gate is locked if you lock it from, like, the way that it was locked before when they were trying to open them all in the various countries?
I don't think so. I think it would be however the Oath Gate was designed.
So then when they got to Azmir, why didn't they just lock it from that side?
Because don't they decide that they're going to send reinforcements as well?
Right, but that seems less important than stopping the singers from coming through.
You know what? Then I'd bet that it is on the Inkspren's will, and I was wrong because that is a giant plot hole that surely Sanderson would have thought about.
Okay.
So
I
I
hope that's
expect
the case because,
We
yeah.
don't know if they know how to lock it, right?
well,
I
they
don't
knew
think
how
we've
to
ever seen
unlock
them
it.
lock it.
You know what? That's a good
They
point.
knew how to unlock it with their sword, but they actually never, from what I remember, knew how to or learned
I
how to
feel
lock
like the
it.
sibling would know how.
Maybe, yeah,
Possibly.
maybe. I feel like the heralds were the one that locked it, or the old radiants of old,
I mean, yeah, probably the Radiants of
ones that
old
locked
were,
it
but I
right
feel like
before.
either the sibling or the Stormfather would know how to lock the gates if if it came down to it. So,
Yeah, I feel like the tower is so like ditzy, and the Stormfather is just so
yes, I
bullheaded.
agree, but
Ditzy.
with I mean, and I'm not
Yeah,
denying that character flaws could be explaining it, but like I still feel like somebody would have at least brought it up,
yeah.
Huh.
considering that
I wonder how the sibling feels about Ja not freeing, enlightening, corrupting Spren.
She's
Because
probably on board with
she's
it.
really angry with
They're-
Navani for
yeah.
putting them willingly into Fabrials.
They're
But
probably on
yeah,
board with it.
yeah, she
they're what?
probably is on board with it.
Oh, okay.
I think.
But that doesn't necessarily mean the same thing as letting the singers run rampant over Azanir. So yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it is. I think the only explanation is the fact that it has to be on the Inkspren because otherwise that whole plot line doesn't work.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I just looked up the first Shallan chapter, and so everything we've been discussing has been in day one.
Oh, okay.
The day two starts with Shallan and Adolin in the
Having
shower,
steamy showers.
having
Oh,
steamy shower
right.
sex with the passion
Yeah,
spell,
yeah.
which people are like, this is too spicy.
Steamy.
Oh my God. Yeah, the
I remember
amount
that.
of criticism that chapter got for like really not discussing that much.
Or anything.
or
Yeah,
anything at all.
it was honestly very tame. It was a pretty much equivalent to like a Hollywood fade to black scene.
If
Like,
you gave that
Yes.
one chapter to anyone who had never read the Stormlight, I bet you some people would be mixed up with who is which gender. Like they wouldn't even know because
That's
there's no
right,
detail.
that's true.
right. Like, oh my God, I do
The
not
only thing is that
understand why
Adolin thinks
this.
it's too hot. Shallan thinks it's perfect. You can like kind of tell, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, but yeah, I do not understand the amount of criticism that chapter got. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's also a lot of discussion about certain chapters or portions of the story being woke, which
Oh yeah,
we do
that's
get
gonna be.
we
I
get
mean that's yeah.
we do get Renarin and Relaine POVs in day two, and that's a big portion of it. I think
yeah.
is gay
It
romance.
wasn't towards the very end.
Right. The end.
I think it
Yeah.
was like chapter like 30
Yeah.
when I
It was way
remember.
back there, but we still get
Yeah,
like
yeah, we get a big
Renar.
one there.
Yeah, we get Renarin and Drahe talking about. I guess we are kind of skipping everywhere. My apologies, but uh,
Yeah, we got some LGBT uh Q people
Representation.
right.
representation.
Which I mean,
One, it's tame. Like I don't know if it gets heavier later in the book. Obviously, we're not discussing future chapters, but like literally this chapter is about a crush.
Yeah.
yeah, and
That's
I mean,
it.
what I talk about on my channel, and you can just cut this if you don't want it on yours, Alex. But you know, I don't really care what I see on screen or the page if that is the creator's intent, as long as you do something with it.
Yep.
If it's just there to be representation, I don't care. I don't like it. You will not put me on your side with that. That is not enough. I need them to do something. The best example that I always bring up is the Chief from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
Best gay character on TV. I
Yeah.
just love him.
I
Yeah.
can get behind that.
Also for my fans of the middle, Brad. But
Sure. And I think so. I don't know about y'all when you're writing characters. Do your characters decide things by themselves when you're writing?
Yes, absolutely.
Do yours, Trevor?
I, um,
Do they ever surprise you?
yeah, rarely, like
Rarely, but it happens.
organically,
Sure.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Like one of my characters decided he liked solitaire.
sure.
Not everything, anything I ever planned for the character,
Right.
but he
My mind
does.
just doesn't think about that sort of stuff, I
I
guess.
see. Mine
Fair.
does. And my characters all inform me about their sexual orientation, gender, etc. And then if that but that's not any kind of part of the plot in my stories at the moment, right? Like
Mhm.
it's just an attribute of the character.
Yeah.
And when you so I expect Sanderson has done something similar because he talks about it in his lectures. And when you're writing a POV character, right? You're writing from their point of view, not third person or anything. You're writing Renarin, well, it is third person, but it's Renarin's point of view. He has this attribute of having a crush on Relaine. In that scene, that's important to that character. So that makes sense for the creator to write about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's doing something with it.
Yeah.
Renarin is the black sheep. Um, Spoiler, not a spoiler, like you'll see more of that with Renarin. Like he feels like the black sheep of his family. And this is just another aspect that adds to that, gives a little bit more dimensionality to his character overall.
Right.
Especially when you throw in not another human like Drahi, but a singer into the mix. Now we're doing something crazy. Like let's see where this goes, right?
Sure.
I don't know. That's how I see it.
And Sanderson is doing something with it where Renarin is learning more about himself through his conversation with Drahi, right? Which every part of the Stormlight Archive is about characters learning stuff about themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It is, to me, no different than Kaladin speaking the second ideal, literally learning
I
about
agree.
himself. So,
Yeah, because or that should be the intended journey of the Knights Radiant. Regardless of what kind of oath you are speaking, I think the intention is for the Knight Radiant to learn about themselves and become more fully who they are in their order.
yes.
Yeah.
And I
Okay,
think that includes, our romantic sex slash sexual attractions. That's just as much a part of who somebody is as, their hopes, their dreams, everything else. Like it's unfortunately not
Yeah.
talked about in Western culture much, but it doesn't
I mean,
stop being part of who someone is just because we don't talk about it,
Yeah.
even though we should.
absolutely, Griff. But we also have to understand, remember that there are a lot of readers out there where that is not a priority for them. You
Hmm.
know,
Right.
there's
And
three ways to start with writing a story. You have your characters, which it sounds like a lot of both of you guys really like focusing on your characters. Some people like to start with the worlds
Hmm.
and see the parameters of which these characters will live in, and then some like to focus on the story. Sanderson's talked about that. So a lot of readers are story first or world first and not characters first.
Sure.
So they don't really care what color their eyes are or their hair or their skin or what sexual
Mhm.
orientation, how old they are. They don't care.
Sure.
They'll picture the characters how they want to in their head, and a lot of readers read like that. So
Yeah, that's true. I also, you know, you like what you like. So if
mhm.
if reading a budding gay romance is not for you, it's not for you, and we're not saying it should be.
Yep.
Criticizing a piece of art as having criticizing for having woke portions is your right, but basing your opinion of the whole work on that, you might want to reconsider, in my
That's
opinion.
very, very well
Well,
said.
also,
I was,
like,
I was going to stop you short because
honestly,
Wit says a lot of that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
like, this representation has been in our world for literally since the beginning, whether it's been talked about or not. Like,
Hmm.
it's not like gay people just popped out of the ground in the last 10 years. So
No, that's correct. Yeah, they're not dwarves.
yeah, it's not like this is new. It's not like this is unexpected. We've been seeing more and more and of course the whole woke label is a pushback. It's a pushback from an increasingly loud but increasingly small portion of the population that unfortunately does not feel like that is an acceptable relationship to have.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Let's lasso this conversation back towards some order.
We should.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
fair.
We start with everyone waking up or
Yep.
not waking up. They're not
Not
asleep.
falling asleep.
And they rally the coalition again to
They do.
speak about what they might be facing. And eventually, at this somewhere in this day, we learn that they are being attacked by 3 points. Right, one of them is Azir, which they decide to send Adolin to protect.
Hmm.
What's his name? The mink decides to be a jerk and call out Dalinar for promising um to save what's it called?
Daz.
Herdaz.
Yeah.
Herdaz. Which like is just so not team mentality, but I get it. Like
Damn
I
it,
don't
do you
know.
know?
Yeah, and I kind of side with Yasna there. It's like that's not what we should be trying to do right now. I also disagree with her though that like they shouldn't be trying to go for what's it called? Alethkar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's just wanting their homeland and like I get it, but like
Hmm.
with whatever the end of this new world will look like, it's not going to look like the one you're used to. You might as well find the biggest plot of land, in my opinion, to protect, and then you guys can create your own little mini country or
That would
world
have been,
there.
yeah, that is
That would have been smarter. Like you just
yeah.
got a mule. Maybe let's focus on Azir because that's a big chunk of land, you know. And the Makabaki is a very diverse like group of nations. So like I feel like I would prioritize that, not the Shattered Plains,
Hmm.
which is just desolate. So
Well, they do have a lot of their farming there for
yeah,
Urithiru. They do have the war camps. So
yeah.
I see
Your
why.
theory's in like I thought that was in the mountains
Well, yeah,
next to a mule.
but the Oathgate is the way that they're getting a lot of the food into Urithiru. The Oathgate at the Shattered Plains is where
Okay.
most of the stuff is coming across.
This was
But that's
before.
only farming land because they've cultivated for the war, which was
For the war,
a
yes.
folly the whole
Yes.
time. So like I'm just
Yeah,
saying you
and that
could start a new world somewhere that makes more sense. You shouldn't be
you
trying to get
could.
like let's get this one over here, this one over here. Like
Well, the thing was is
I don't
that
know.
they were keeping the Shattered Plains as farmland before Navani bonded with the sibling. Um,
Hmm.
that was the way that Urithiru was getting a lot of its food because they didn't have the Urithiru fully activated yet. Um, but I
Right.
agree that yes, it's the Shattered Plains does not seem like it's a priority in the same way.
Hmm.
However, now with the Shattered Plains, if they lose that, okay, actually, let me take a step back. Because they last lost Kolanar, did they already lose the majority of Alethkar
Yes.
to the Singers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that might also be why they're trying to keep the Shattered Plains because they need somewhere for the Alethi people to go. And I don't think the entirety of Urithiru can hold any, like all of the refugees that are leaving Alethkar.
Sure. Also, why, if the Shattered Plains weren't important to Odium, why would he be sending almost all of his fused there?
Yeah. Fuse and Skybreakers, right? It's like all his magical people.
I
I'm
think
curious if he's
We don't,
trying to. Well,
do
no, that
we
doesn't make a lot of
do we see
sense.
the Skybreakers?
We learned that they're in there, right? Because in that map that he had, the the read along guy, I thought he had the Skybreakers on that map.
Did he? Because they're
Um,
meant
Didn't
to
the
be.
Skybreakers hit the Navy or something?
They
Of
were. Yeah, they attacked the Thalana
like,
Navy.
oh, they're going to
yeah.
Thalana. Okay, my mistake. My mistake. I thought they were going to Shatter Plains.
I'm just
Well,
gonna.
there are, however, I think a lot of fuse that are heading towards the Shattered Plains. And I remember during our discussion, we did like discuss why possibly uh the Shattered Plains was such a why they seem to be such a target for Odium.
And what did we say? Do you remember?
Well, we said that there wasn't anything obvious. However, we
That
said
was
that
the
there
Oath
might be
Gate.
something about the fact that the Oath Gate was the only unlocked one of
Right.
the entire group. Two, we also said that since it was a location of an ancient city, there might be something still in that city that he wants to get his hands on that we as readers are not aware of yet.
Indeed.
I feel like
Okay.
there's information there, right? Like,
Right.
weren't we like theorizing like what is the Shattered Plains? What caused it? Because it wasn't originally there, from what I remember. So we were making a bunch of theories, like, oh, maybe that's where Bam is hidden, or something related to honor or something. So
Yeah, because we
there's
thought,
a
well,
lot
because
of
we knew that
theories,
the city was there before it was a bunch of
right?
plateaus. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, we were thinking maybe there was something stored in that city that we don't know about that he's trying to get to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was pretty much our two conclusions. Either he's after that specific oath gate for some reason, or there's something in that city that he wants to get his hands on that we are not aware of yet.
Right.
Sure.
Do we learn who's heading up that defense for the
Higsville.
coalition?
Yeah.
Okay, so we learned, yeah, so Sigil's on his
Yeah,
way there.
Sigil.
Sigil has a great, I love Sigil in this book so far. We see he's very unsure of himself. And his Spren gives him some guidance, like just having that great radiant bond, friendship.
It's so good.
Yeah, he's a great character.
I agree. I agree. And then we also see Adolin is still angry at Dalinar.
Still
And,
angry at Dalinar, making buddies with Yanagon of all people,
yeah.
because he understands him.
Yep.
And yeah, there's like you said, there's a lot of teen angst, daddy issues. This book,
There
first few
are.
days. Um, yeah,
And then Shallan is like, "Hey, by the way, the Ghost Bloods want Ba'edo Mishram. I know where they are. We need to do a strike team thing." And Dalinar was like, "You lied this whole time?" And Shallan was like, "Sorry. Can we do this though?" And then Dalinar was like, "I guess." And then secret meet.
I thought he said no, right? Didn't
No,
he
he
say
definitely
no?
said yeah.
Like
He
he
did,
said yes.
he
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like
relented.
hesitant, like, you want me to authorize a strike force against a secret group you're just now telling us about that you've been a part of for years?
Yeah,
What the hell? Damnation. And
yeah.
then Dalinar, Navani, Fen, Yasna, and Hoyd all go, and Yanagan? No, Yanagan's not there.
No, no.
Yeah, they have a secret meeting in a
Hmm.
special room designed for the Night Watcher to come visit the sibling.
Right.
And they're like,
Because Dalinar met someone, right? That happened before.
yes, yeah, cultivation popped into
Dalinar
the sibling, or yeah,
yeah,
into the sibling, into the tower, and was like,
into the sibling.
that's and was like,
Uh,
hey, you probably should pick up the power of honor. Uh, it's in the spiritual realm, so go
good
find it.
luck.
Yeah, and cultivation's not that helpful. Damn it,
No.
cultivation.
Which actually, with honor being in the spiritual realm, that honestly tracks a little bit because we do know that the difference between Stel and a lot of the other planets was that Odium somehow moved devotion and dominion into the cognitive realm for Cell rather than leaving them in the spiritual realm, which is why there's the door flowing around everywhere and all the magic is restricted to geographical locations.
Yes, indeed. And then the Stormfather's like, Dalinar, you better not do that. And Dalinar's like, I'm gonna do it anyways.
Hmm.
And Stormfather pleads him not to because if he
Right.
does, goes to the spiritual realm, sees all these visions of the past, he will learn their shame, whatever
Yep.
that means.
Yep.
Which, I mean, didn't we already deal with that with finding out that the singers were the original, like, people and that humans are
Well,
actually
that's
the.
one of the big pieces, yeah. But I think this has to deal with Honor himself. So,
Yeah.
Huh.
which it could be. I just we don't have enough of the pieces of that puzzle to see it clearly,
Right.
but they're all connected.
They are all
They gotta
connected.
be.
And Yasna points out that something is not working out timeline wise with what the
Right.
Stormfather is saying and the sibling are saying about when certain
Uh-huh.
things happened, which Sanderson put in there for us to tickle our minds. Like
Do
he
you
took
remember what
that.
those were? I think it would be good to rehash those if you remember them, because I don't.
Oh boy.
There's some good, juicy details in there that's like, okay, these are things to keep track of that I've already forgotten,
Yeah.
despite
Yeah.
having read it 3 times.
Let's see.
I have the memory of a goldfish. I'm sorry.
Same. Same. Let me see if it's back here. And that's not it. No, it must be earlier than that. I'll cut this out probably.
Probably.
Let's see. Uh, so they mentioned that the that honor might be able to think by itself. It's been without a vessel for too long, so that's important.
What What are the historical timeline questions?
Getting there.
I'll look myself.
Okay.
Do you remember whereabouts? What chapter?
Looks like it might be chapter 22 or 21, or maybe
That
20.
could be an interesting issue, though, because I
What's
don't think we've ever seen the power of a shard separated from its vessel for really any length of time.
Yes, that's true.
During this time, that we also have Yasna um, making the logical, not decision, but argument for getting Odium off their planet, and Wit being very adamant that that could not happen, being a little bit stubborn, rigid on
Right.
that one thing.
Reiterating,
Yeah.
watch it burn rather than
And you really empathize for the Rosharans because like they've always had to deal with this god. Um, and it's like why is it their job to do it? And every time he leaves the planet or before he was locked, he was, killing other shards. Um, but you would think that 15 could rally against one and stop him, but they're all kind
Well,
of,
unfortunately,
no,
they're
I'm gonna
not.
stick to my planet.
Yeah, basically, uh, the shards are very isolationist. Even if one or two will bond with each other, I don't think it would be very feasible to call all 15 together as a collated force because we already know that at least um autonomy seems to, well, I don't know if I don't know if autonomy is on Odium's side, but at least does not seem to be all that fond of harmony. So
Hmm.
I can't find it.
I can't either.
Where did it go?
It was
Did we
somewhere around
actually,
there.
right?
I feel like we have to look for um when the sibling speaks. Maybe that
Right?
might make it easier to find. I feel like it might be 20, not 21. No.
We're gonna figure this out if it kills us.
and it just might.
Dun dun dun. There we go. Found it. Here we go.
Yay.
Brilliant. Yasna asks, when was the Night Watcher created? Yasna whispered to Ivory, we call her the Old Magic, but how long has she been around? When did cultivation form her? Before Ivory could answer, a voice whispered back from a nearby vent. The Night Watcher came from the night, as the Stormfather came from the wind. Though, when I was young, the wind was different, so very different. When were you created, sibling? Yasna asked. Some 6,000 years ago, when the stones wanted a legacy in the form of a child of honor and cultivation, back when bondsmiths bonded not to Spren, but to ancient forces left by gods. And the Stormfather? Soon before me. That's inaccurate, though, Yasna said. Dalinar speaks of the Stormfather having existed when people first came to Roshar 7,000 years ago. The Stormfather remembers that event and detailed the timing. It has been confusing, the sibling said, to learn of all that had happened while I slept. I knew the Stormfather when he was young. I formed from the stone, which was the sibling of Wind and Night. The night left. Few loved her or even spoke of her, and it seems Mother replaced her with a being of some of the same essence, a new creature unconnected to anyone's perception. Now the Stormfather has changed, and the Night Watcher has not spoken to me as she used to. My siblings are no longer as I remember. I hate that. Something about those timelines itched at Yasna. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was the main part. I found it right as you did. Um, so yeah, I feel like the pieces about the Stormfather are what I find the most fascinating because we learn that he can lie in the prologue.
Right?
Maybe.
Maybe,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
he
if
straight
it
up
is
did lie.
him.
Oh,
Yeah.
were you? What do
Yeah.
you mean, maybe, Griff? Just if it is him?
Yeah, just if it is him.
Oh,
Because if
okay.
it's Canvas, then
Okay, but Occam's razor, we learned that he can lie.
yes, yes.
Yes. So
Cut a cloud.
let's
Talk
put
to
out
her.
the timeline of what we know
Oh boy.
at this point in the series.
Okay.
We know that somehow Surge Binding killed the planet they used to be on, which we're told is Ashen.
Yes,
They came over to Roshar
they
with
did.
their god Odium, and now we have
Yes.
these three gods on this one planet.
Right.
And at some point, 10 heralds came together, made a pact with
Right.
oaths
Yes.
to lock away the fused,
Made it. Yes. Made an oath pact with honor.
with honor to lock away
Yes.
the fused.
Yes.
So, and that's ideally where I would imagine the oaths started being a requirement for Radiants because Radiants were designed from the heralds, similar as like the blades are designed from the honor blades. So I would feel that Oath Pack had to come before that. So
That's
where would the
reasonable.
Stormfather have been in that? He probably wouldn't he have been created as like something for the bondsmiths to bond to? Because we're told here that before that they were bonding to the elements or what was it like the wind, stone, night, or
Yeah.
something, right?
The
Old
ancient
Yeah,
gods.
the winds,
and
the stone, and night, which were apparently the three ancient
So
like spren.
yeah. So Yasna brings up a great point that like Dalinar speaks of the Stormfather having existed when people first came to Roshar, but something's not adding up. And we know the Stormfather can lie. Us readers, I don't know if they know that yet at this point in day two, but
that Stormfather can lie.
Yeah.
Well, they learned it in the prologue.
Dalinar did? That's what I'm saying. Gavilar
Oh,
learned it.
Dalinar.
Yeah. Dalinar learns it in day two,
Yeah.
but I think it might have been the end of it. But yeah, so those are I feel like just good points to remember as you continue to read,
Yes.
because it's very fascinating. It's such a finicky timeline. There's so many mysteries, so many questions we want answered. And I told Alex my worry going into this book was that it was just going to feel like an onslaught of answers to plug in all the holes in the character's memory and in our understanding as readers. And I felt like 1,300 pages of that, while a very long Sanderlanche can be fun, I thought wouldn't work. So far, I'm enjoying the pacing of how we're getting reveals and character development. But yeah, there's a lot to be answered in this book,
There is.
or to be left for the back half, I guess.
Yeah. Continuing with Dalinar and Navani's journey in day two, they decide they're going to enter the spiritual realm, and Wit is like, I'm going to connect your clock to mine so that you don't lose yourself in the time space continuum that is the spiritual realm.
Thank God
And
he
then,
does.
yeah. And then Navani is like, I'm going with you. And Dalinar was like, no, it's too dangerous. And Navani said, I'm going with you anyways. And then Wit is like, we should do a test. Here's a rock. This rock is from when I came over from Ashen, so it should take you back to this memory. And Navani was like, what the actual hell? You were there? Have you told the Shin about their religion? And Wit's like, sorry, been too busy. And then he's like, y'all should anchor yourselves to the physical realm. And they
That was
do.
so funny.
And then they go through the perpendicularity, and then day two ends. Well, because the perpendicularity
Why?
collapses.
Why did the Shen think the rocks were Spren
Wit
gods?
says that it's a leftover of the rock he has that was a sacred spot on Ashen, that they
Ah,
took a
okay.
piece of it when they came over, and somehow that we don't know any details, but that's a remnant, or the Shin thinking that stone is divine is a remnant of
Yeah,
that
okay.
aspect of their religion. So
Right,
He
right.
also added that when you regularly go back to being in the Stone Age, you can't develop that far from it. So that's also another reason they revere the stone
yeah,
because it's
true.
so vitally important.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good
I'm
point.
curious though, and this is a minor point. I know this isn't really recap, but it's still something that niggles at me.
Niggles.
Was Odium's time on Ashen before or after he went on a rampage through the Cosmere?
After.
Okay. But then why
Wait,
did he go
what?
to Ashen?
What was the question?
Was Odium's rampage through the Cosmere when he splintered a whole bunch of different shards before or after he was on Ashen? And if it
Well,
was
I think it
it,
was during, right? Because they locked him onto Roshar to stop him from doing that, I thought.
They locked him in the Rosharan system.
Oh.
is Ashen in the Rosharan system?
It is.
Yeah, there's Ashen, Blaze,
Oh,
and Roshar.
Yeah. And then
okay.
7 other planets that
That's
nobody cares about. Or is it 10 other
gotcha.
planets that nobody cares about and the three? Hold on. I can't see the.
3 planets for 3 gods. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but then they also have the 10
Oh.
for the.
The 10 for the what?
They have. Hold on.
Do they have like 7 moons or something to make it 10?
Or do they have one planet for each
He's
herald?
gonna he's gonna bring up the map from the Arcanum Unbounded. That's my guess. No, he's got a print. What is this? What is Alex doing? Ah, yeah. So this is from the Arcanum Unbounded.
Yeah,
Can you
so
bring
they
it a
have.
little closer?
Yeah. They have the three inside the asteroid belt, and then the 10 outside the asteroid belt.
Ah, okay.
10 what?
So Ashen was
Planet.
actually the closest to the sun.
Those are
I wonder
planets?
if it
Oh, interesting.
has at all a similar atmosphere to Scadrial in that case.
So Ashen and Roshar are like right next to each other, or they're circling around each other?
I mean, they're probably as close to each other as say Mercury and Venus are.
I feel like
Yeah.
Ashen's more of a moon than a planet.
Well, no,
I
it's
mean,
its
potentially
own
we don't.
orbit of the sun of the
Yeah,
Roshar whatever
it's
sun.
definitely a planet. Whether this is in scale to size is hard to know,
Okay.
but it definitely
Interesting.
was the closest planet to the sun of the Rosharan system, which
Right.
makes me think it was considerably warmer than Roshar is.
I mean, you if they're both if let's assume all three are in the Goldilocks zone, and then they just need a slightly different mass or composition of elements to maintain about the same temperature on the surface.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's why I was just
Um,
wondering if Ashen was somewhat similar to Scadrial, because we know that, I mean, there's a lot of tomfoolery going on with Scadrial's atmosphere.
There was, yeah. There was.
we should go back to you had said they're connecting to a clock. They're going to do a test,
Hmm.
and then that test goes very wrong because of Shallan's part. So let's
That's right.
probably
Let's
end with
rewind.
Shallan because
Yeah.
yeah, rewind. So Shallan is moving against the Ghost Bloods because they have an idea where they are. They have a strike team. The fighting hasn't started yet. Now's the time to just end it once and for all.
Yeah. And Shallan is
So they go
specifically
with sorry.
Shallan is worried that they're going to come after her family. Right. They're
Right.
going to kill Adolin,
Um,
so on. She has to strike
yeah, and her
first.
brothers.
Right,
So she
yes.
gets her unseen court strike team of her own. Her, Red, Gaz, Darcira, some other people I can't remember.
Argyle.
Stargill's in it, yeah. So they pretend to be like some workers on the platform near the Oath Gate.
Right.
Was this at the Shattered Plains or outside of it? I
Shattered
can't
Plains.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's at the
And
Shattered
so
Plains.
there's this tent. That's where they think the Ghost Bloods are headed up. They're observing the guards, and so Shallan, having recently gained her shard plate, but learning that she can't move it on to people like Kaladin, which we were theorizing that maybe the different Spren armor have their own little quirks and perks, the wind Spren, because they move with the wind, they're able to move on to people. I was theorizing that maybe Creation Spren might be able to, or Creativity Spren,
Creation
which one is it?
Spren.
Creation Spren might be able to make their own illusions without the need of
Yeah,
Stormlight, which I thought might be a cool
that would be
thing. We'll see
sick.
if that works or not. Um, but they decide to I forget the wording, but the best way to do something is to become the guard. Do you remember that?
Right. If a guard's looking out for you, what do? You become the guard.
You become the guard. So
There's a
they
guard
they attack
watching.
the guard, which is one of the Southerners, or they wear
Right.
the Southern masks of Scadrial. I forget what they're called. Um, Whatever.
The
But
Southern
so
Stadium.
she locks the plate onto them.
It was a
The
cool move.
Gaz or Red, one of them like chokes her out. Shallan puts on her garb and is gonna infiltrate, pretending to be one of these people.
Yep.
And she goes into the tent and she sees a whole bunch of things.
Yes, she sees they are weaponizing anti-light, and Mraize is practicing with anti-light bolts. She
Hmm.
sees Ja in there, who recognizes her for who she is.
Yeah.
And
Cosmere trophy
Cosmere
room
trophy case.
display.
Yep, with some
Yeah.
random things that we don't know what it is.
Saw like a white bone, which we're theorizing is from Dragonsteel Prime.
Yeah.
A leaf that like was glowing or something
It
or
was like
heat.
juicy and glowing orange or something like that,
Yeah. It was like warm or something.
like a purple egg.
Um, there was like a horn, maybe something related to a dragon, like a
Yeah.
claw or something. A whole bunch of stuff. Um,
We find out that
And
And we
it's
know they have some of that sand as well from
yes.
Haldane,
yes, the white sand.
We
since
find
they
out
have that
it's
as an alarm system.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It's Eotil's showcase, not
Okay.
Not
Raises.
Murray's.
not Murray's,
Yeah.
which we thought previously.
So
So
Eotil was born on Silverlight, but is the heritage of the Southern Scadrial. Mraize is from Thalana, and so he
yes,
considers Eotil his Bapsk because that's like
yes,
his culture. Okay.
that's correct. Yep. And then Shallan is discovered, right?
Right. And Ja does not oust her, which is interesting.
Right. It was interesting. Jeannot's a character.
She
That's
is.
yeah.
Especially when Shallan's
Yeah,
like
it's
threatening her, like, you better not oust me. Like, I don't know, the way she handles Jana, I was like, she holds all the cards right now. Why are you not like, I would be a little bit like nicer, tiptoe around this a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
actually that's a fairly that's a
Got
solid
lucky
complaint you could probably lodge.
against Shallan.
Kind of like we were talking about, sometimes it feels non sequitur in conversations, like they'll just randomly switch to a different plot point. That carries over into this kind of thing where characters are acting a little more boldly because Sanderson doesn't have the time for them to act coy and then resolve the situation. He needs them to resolve the situation
Yeah.
ASAP so he can make it to the end of the
I,
book.
I I will make the argument in devil to play devil's advocate here that she is like finally switched her mentality from being on the hunt to becoming the hunter. So
Sure.
maybe she is feeling a little more bold, and we know that like she becomes what she's feeling. Like
Yeah.
that is very much Shallan's character. So like you could definitely make a case for like no. She's like all in, like ready to
Good point.
go. Like
Good
if they
point.
come at me, I got people positioned outside this tent to like come save me. Like I got this, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And then people do come save her. And
Yeah.
she learned that they were going to go follow Dalinar into the spiritual realm. So then people come and save her. Cool stuff happens with a little
Right.
fight scene. She gets injected with anti-light and lets it fade before she draws in Stormlight to heal herself. Otherwise, she
Right.
thought she might explode.
which is not
And
necessarily an incorrect assumption.
Right.
So
Right.
and they escape
also out
because
of
they have
curiosity,
surprise friends of their own.
Yes.
Go sorry,
this is a
Griff.
small point, but this is still a point of discussion I want to bring up. It's difficult to transform something that's been invested, correct?
That's correct.
Is that including being invested with lifelight or anti-light?
Uh,
Probably.
I
Well,
believe
I don't know
so,
if
but
anti-investiture counts as investiture, right?
no,
Might actually make
And
you
that's
more
what
prone to transform.
we don't know because we know that Shallan did mention that she felt like she might be able to draw on it the same way that she does Stormlight,
yes. Right.
though she didn't dare try to. Because I was just
No,
curious, like one of the defenses that might be effective if they could would be transforming the crystals with void light, anti-stormlight in it, uh, before they struck. But if you can't transform something that's invested, then that's
I
a
expect it
technique
would
that
be.
would not work.
Yeah, I expect that would be really difficult. You'd have to find. Yeah, that would be. You'd probably have to use a ton of investiture to change one gem that was full of anti-light,
Yeah, I
Mhm.
and
agree.
then the anti-light would escape.
I can't remember. Did Shallan was she hesitant to draw in Stormlight when she had anti-light, or was
Yeah,
she
Yes.
hesitant to draw in Stormlight and heal when there was anti-light in her?
she was cautious to draw in Stormlight at all. She didn't.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I thought. Yeah.
until she
Because
felt
she
like
thought that
she
it
could.
might encounter the anti-light in her, and then the two
Yeah.
interacting would cause her to explode.
Yeah,
And I wonder which is like the more dangerous one, right? Like using the Stormlight when you have anti-light in you, or just having Stormlight in you when you have anti-light in you. I can see both being hazardous.
I
yeah,
think
But if it
probably
is,
just
but if it
having it
is,
in you would be enough
Mhm.
because the body is, at least to some extent, a container. Now, I don't know if it's actually their spiritual web or not, but
Yeah, that's a good question.
something about them is containing the stormlight, and I feel like the void light would be in the same container, whatever that is. So
Right.
the
It
two
is
would
something to look.
inevitably encounter each other.
It is something to look out for, though, because if it is, you can't heal or use the Stormlight when you have anti-light in you. That might make a case for you, Griff, that maybe they could use anti-light for something.
Well, and I feel like I want to see that explored a little bit more,
Hmm.
even if not in this book, at least in one of the future books, to see whether or not they can draw on void light in the same way that most night radiants do draw on stormlight, and for some reason Lift can draw on lifelight. So
Yeah.
I love when Alex is quiet because he thinks he's not giving me info, but he actually is. Because he's quiet because we might get answers on this, which makes me excited.
I can neither confirm nor deny my involvement. Actually,
Yeah,
I was thinking to the future, and when it would
sure,
be
sure.
best to segue into, and then Shalon goes to Renarin and Relaine, right
Yes.
after
Well,
Renarin
we have to recap that they did escape with
escape.
what looks like a portal of something. So they might be an else color or a will shaper. Probably else color because the will shapers don't the reachers don't
Yeah.
like humans. But they have a corrupted, enlightened version of that. And we don't
Yes.
know if they have the same. Maybe one of them has a light weaving. We don't know. We just know they have that access to that one surge between the two or three of them, right?
Two of them. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Potentially the three
So,
of them. Sure. Sure.
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
why not.
we're unsure entirely who has what Spren, but we also know that if they're enlightened, then much like Renarin with oh, why am I drawing a
Mhm.
blank on Renarin Spren?
Gliss.
Ooh, I wonder
Bliss,
if
yeah. Uh
Felt. I wonder if Felt had an enlightened one or not. They probably would have known, right? Like Patter would have been like, "That one is weirder than me." I don't know.
Felt's not. Yeah. Felt's not bonded.
He's not
no,
bonded.
Felt was
I thought he was in the unseen court. He's not.
No. No. No.
no,
No. He was.
Felt was
He
Oh,
part
was.
I get him
of
and Red mixed
their
up. I get him and Red mixed up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Red. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, Griff, you were saying something about Renarin and Gliss.
Oh yeah. So the fact that Gliss seems to be in in Renarin rather than hanging around him the same way the other Spren do, that would explain why Shalon did not see any Spren when it came to Eotl and Mraize and their Night Radiant abilities.
100%.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we see Shalon's end of day two coincides with Renarin and Relaine, and Renarin and Relaine just experienced a vision together where they saw a few things. They saw Renarin in what looked like singer clothes in his childhood bedroom
But like on a throne, right?
on a throne,
Or with a crown or something.
something
Yeah.
like that. It looked kingly,
Yeah.
but also singer robes. Then they saw a kind of hilly landscape that looked peaceful, and they saw 12 figures, one of which had blue skin, one of which was
Mhm.
um, uh, like a horn eater with red hair. Um, and
Really?
yeah,
Like
this
Rock?
yeah,
Oh,
like
I
they
remember that one.
yeah. And
Yeah,
Renarin said
yeah.
he got a lot of peace out of that. And then they saw Ba Ado Mishram, and she was like, "I will tell
Oh,
you."
that
Well, it
grassy
was
hill one's got
interesting
to be like the
because
ending of this book.
I
It's
think
gotta
that
be.
one was interesting because she was frozen and like in like a stasis pose um until oh God, why am I so bad with names today?
Relaine?
Verlaine, thank you, came around and started looking at her, and then she like animated
Yeah, which was
and started
creepy.
Yeah, it was extremely
That
creepy.
gave me
And Renarin does confirm that she had never done that before.
indeed.
So
Yeah. And then they also
Question.
saw the world burning.
Does Odium want Mishram's help or not? I'm confused on that.
Rapho.
Damn.
yeah, we
Because
don't know because
she's
he doesn't seem to be searching for her.
no, like he's in the realm where she's trapped, no? Maybe he can't free her because of the way she was um contained. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know honestly. Unfortunately, what we do know is that he's
Hmm.
not searching for her or sending any agents to search for her. The only two that are going after her are Shalon and Ghost Bloods. So
It would make sense though if he didn't want her to be back, because didn't the singers start turning from Odium or Honor, I can't remember, to Mishram? Because like she bonded to them and Roshar, which is why when they trapped her, it like created a bunch of problems.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Also Rapho.
So, God, the
And then
timeline's so confusing.
I
Oh
know, I
my
know.
God.
And then Shalon's like, "Hey, Renar and Relaine, we need to go help. We need to go see if we can catch the Ghost Bloods. They have enlightened Spren like y'all, so come with me to the cognitive realm and let's see if we can get them." And then they go, and it turns out if there's a guard watching for you, you become the guard.
Mm-hmm.
And Eotil and Mraize did the exact same thing as Shalon did, and then a fight ensues, and Mraize is like,
Were they just in like a medieval knight's armor? I can't remember, or were they
they
like using a light
they
weaving?
they light weaved. They were using a light
Okay,
weaving to look
okay.
like
So we know
yeah.
they have two surges now then. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Yes,
um,
yeah.
And then they fight, the Windrunners come and they're dumb. They're like, I must protect people.
yeah,
And some of them die,
yep. Uh,
right? At least
do
one of
they
them did, I thought.
they the third that was with Eotil and Mraize dies.
Yes, they
Other
get him.
Windrunners run away to go
Yes.
help.
Right, because of the bomb. They have
They're gonna kill.
there was a threat of a bomb by Mraize and Eotil.
Yeah, something was gonna kill the people that they had
Mm.
replaced guard wise. And then
Yeah.
Reyes is like, "Have you ever seen a perpendicularity collapse? I've heard it's amazing." Which where he would have heard that, weird.
Yeah, what the heck? Where would he have heard that?
Yeah.
Maybe Eotil,
Uh,
possibly something she experienced.
or perhaps the because the perpendicularity collapsed when Zeth drew Nightblood against Ashar. Whoever was with Dalinar then, one of them could have
Oh.
told, and somebody could have overheard and told the Ghost Bloods.
Oh, yeah,
So
maybe.
it has happened. There is
Oh.
a plausible link there, so we don't need to go like too far into, oh, he saw Atium or he saw AT's perpendicularity collapse. Like, no, I don't think we need to theorize that far out.
I was thinking it could be one of those like pools or something like on like maybe on Threnody or Cell or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because wasn't wasn't Downer being able to do the whole like kablooey thing?
Combine all three realms into one.
Yes. Wasn't that like new? Like Stormfather's like, wait, how'd you do that? Yeah. Like Malishi, the one of the other bondsmiths we knew from the past, I don't think she was able to do that. But I also don't know who she was bonded to.
It was a
It
he.
might have been Stormfather. Might have
But
been
the
Stormfather.
Stormfather did
Raphael.
As a he.
recognize it because he calls it Honor's Perpendicularity. So clearly he's seen it before, just not
Yes.
a
Well,
bondsmith doing it.
That's weird. When did he see that?
oh, when Odium killed Honor. Where was the Honor's perpendicularity before? Was Wait, what if that was in the Shattered Plains and that collapsing was what caused it? Oh, maybe. Probably not. Alex, I don't like your poker face. She's so bad. Give me info. Okay, well, anyways, it collapses in on them, and uh-oh, Gav's in there,
Yeah.
spying. Wit comes and saves the lift because he sees her because she's touched by cultivation or something, and she was like translucent or
the perpendicularity caused her to become translucent, and she saw a vision, and then Hoyd was
And
like, "You're
then
so highly
and she's like,
invested."
"Where's Gav?" And we're just like, "Hmm."
Yeah,
So Gav, uh-oh.
yeah,
Our big
that's
theory here
video.
was what if he just like stays in the spiritual realm, ages, and then pops back out, um, either in this book and becomes Odium's champion, or it comes back with a vengeance in the back half. We'll have to read and find out. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
uh-oh.
I
definitely.
do know that Lift or Wit does say that he didn't notice Gav because Lift is like a blinding light to his life sense, and that's
Right.
the only reason that he was able to grab her. So,
Right,
which
right.
again, like her going translucent and being so bright to his sense, kind of still, I think, supports the idea that she might be a cognitive shadow because we see a similar thing with Yumi
I,
Yeah,
and
I
the
think
fact
it's
that.
because she's touched by cultivation. I really do.
But then
yeah,
why would she go translucent? I don't understand why that would be a portion of, like, if it were just the life sense, then yeah, I would agree with you. But like,
I
why would Honor's perpendicularity make her go translucent if it was just her being touched by cultivation?
it's a good point. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm not
And
sure.
I
I
don't
think
see
they're
why she'd be able to touch Wendell either for that reason.
yeah.
But she does touch Wendell. She like
Yeah, she gets the
climbs
Yeah,
weird.
on him
she
many
she is
times.
the
Yeah.
only Knight Radiant that can like physically touch her spren when it's not in like shard
Oh.
weapon form.
Well,
Well, she's the earliest one because since then, when the bonds grow stronger, Spren can start interacting a little bit.
Okay, yes, but not in the same way that Lift
No,
does with
no.
Wendell.
doesn't Hoyd say that she's like the most invested being he's ever seen or something like that?
Like he goes, "You're so highly invested. I'm surprised you don't make
Yeah.
other people's teeth buzz or something like that."
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
which
No.
Around.
again
Yeah.
is why I'm saying because we got a very similar comment in Yumi and the Nightmare Painter when Design is talking to I think it's when Design is talking to Yumi in uh when she's in his body.
Yeah.
So Yumi was a cognitive shadow,
Yes.
Yes.
but she was able to touch everybody.
Also,
Well,
yeah.
she was
So
yes.
what's Thydakar's
Well,
problem then? If he's a cognitive shadow, why does he? He doesn't need a new body. He can do whatever. He can do anything we
He
can do then.
spiked. He spiked himself to a new body, or
Oh, he
somebody
did.
spiked him to a new body. Yeah.
Whose
because
body?
in
Doesn't matter.
Oh, we don't
we
know.
don't know.
Not
In
yet.
Yumi, she's using I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name in that.
Nicaro.
Painter.
Nikaro, she's using his body
Yes.
because the connection that was drawn by the spirits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we know that Vasher, I don't actually know how he has a physical body. That one is kind of a mystery to me.
Well, he's a
Well,
return. What do you mean?
I think it's something like the spike,
Oh,
where it's pretty
right.
much
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
endowments thing. Yeah.
He's
Endowment.
a
Endowment
return.
does. Yeah. Endowment does weird stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. But yeah, no, but yeah, Thydakar, I mean, we know he spiked him. Well, yeah, Kelsier, whatever you want to call him, spiked himself to a new body. But yeah, I mean, Lift, and I could be wrong because you're actually correct. Like, there's nothing like endowment on Roshar, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something weird going on with Lift, and the most likely explanation in my mind is cognitive shadow, but eh,
We're gonna
I
find
could be
out.
wrong.
We'll
Yeah.
probably find out in book 6 or something. So let's do two more things. We're gonna talk about the epigraphs, and then we're just gonna talk briefly about what we thought
Interludes.
about day 2.
What about interludes?
That's right. We need to talk about interludes.
Oh, yeah, we need to do okay, I was a little confused. Are we doing the day one interludes with day two?
Yes,
Okay.
Oh, we're doing the day one interludes.
we're doing interludes 1 and 2 now. Yes,
Right.
and then
Right.
next
Okay.
week we'll do 3 and 4.
Okay.
Do y'all remember who was interlude 1?
I do not. I do
Was it
not
not?
remember one or two.
Oh yeah.
2
It
was
was
Odium.
it was Calic.
Yes, yes, of course.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. So that's where we see
Felt
Felt
and Ayla.
return
Yeah.
with Aelay, and they take over Calic
Yeah.
with what looks to be like biochromatic breath
Yep.
powers with the curtains.
Yep.
Um, and
And
Calic
cool.
is a little bit.
Yeah, he was relieved that he no longer has to make decisions. Were it so
Which
easy,
is
Kalak.
crazy thematic for this book, just gonna say.
Yes. Yeah, that's
So
fair.
many characters face decisions,
Yeah.
and Calyx just like, wee, I'm
Yeah.
free.
Yeah. And then Odium is the second interlude. Uh
Yes.
and then
He's
And we get
like
an interesting look
he's
at
a
his
the
mindset.
he's a god divided or divided
yes, the
god.
divided God.
Yeah.
He's like, I am emotion, but I need to think about it.
And
Also, there's
cultivation tries to show him there's a better way than
yeah,
just conquering all of the
yeah.
Cosmere. And he's just like, sure, okay.
I'd really, listener, if this is your first time tuning in, I would highly suggest going and listening to our discussion on these interludes. It is going to be much more deep than it's going to have more depth than we are discussing right now. We go
Yeah.
really, really into it, and you can just skip me reading the interludes, no problem. So go find Wind and Truth preview chapters, reading and discussion interludes 1 and 2. Easy peasy. But ultimately, Taravangian is like, I'm pretty sure there's going to need to be one god so that there's
Yeah.
in the Cosmere. And Cultivation's like,
Cultivation's
don't
like,
do this.
no.
Don't
We
do
we
it.
we had that before and we stopped it because we didn't like it.
Yeah. And Taravangian was
Yeah.
like, I am the Senate.
That's so good. So you want to do the epigraphs?
Yeah. I don't want to read
Do
all
you
of them.
want to read them all?
No, not this one. I don't think it's that interesting to read them all.
It's not.
It's
Yeah.
not. So ultimately, what we get is we get the Way of Kings Parable 4, and it is essentially pointing us towards walking away from something should be allowed for everybody to do.
And we see that with a king doing that.
Yes, we see a king
leaving
doing
his
that.
kingdom
Yeah.
as he runs into a caravan of a family who are going to that kingdom because it's supposed to be better. He's like, nope, I'm out.
Adios. Everybody should be able to leave if they want. Which is actually it's a really important thing psychologically for people to understand is that they are not responsible for other people's choices, and at any point you can choose to leave the situation that you're in. Yes, it might be
Yes.
hard. Yes, it could
Yeah.
be overwhelmingly difficult to do.
Might even be painful, but
Might be painful, but it is something you are allowed to do. You do have autonomy over yourself and your choices, and you are not
yes.
responsible for other people's how other people feel or their decisions based on what you do, right?
Do we know what kingdom it was?
Raffo,
Oh, really? Okay.
I think.
Okay. I'm curious.
I thought it was
Um,
ancient Alethkar because
It might be. It might be.
that's what it felt like it was trying to make you think, and I'm looking back on it and I'm like, I
You know what?
wonder
I
if that's what
do
it was.
I do have I believe we've gotten that and also firm Raffo, in case we didn't get that before.
okay.
Trying to call me.
I didn't call you.
Hello. What's up? Hold on.
It's so quiet.
I was about to say, so how are you doing, Trevor?
I'm not sick, so
That
I'm
you're
doing
doing better
pretty
than I
good.
am at that, I guess.
I know. I'm so sorry. I had the illness before the con, so I was happy I didn't get
See,
it
I would have
after.
preferred that. I would have preferred being
Yeah,
sick before the con and then not having it
yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
But
But
I mean, to be fair, I am on the tail end. Now my partner is sick. She got it from me, which was not unexpected.
yeah,
Um, but
almost
I seem to
unavoidable when you live
be,
in the same space.
yeah, but I seem to be on the met. So I'm still a
That's
little
good.
sick, but I'm definitely better than I was on Tuesday, and so
You sound better.
yeah, thank you.
Good.
So
Sorry, it
Yeah,
was
you
an
do
I
sound
important
a lot
feel
call.
better.
it's all
You're
good.
good. Everything okay?
Yep. Yep. Just
Okay.
gonna go
We
to
just decided to chat until you were back.
yeah. I go to a Japanese chatting group once a month, and that's this afternoon. And we're taking they have a new. I'm learning Japanese, and my coworker is from Japan, and he and his family host a chatting group. And they
Ah,
just had a
okay.
baby, so Tala was asking if they celebrate Christmas and so on, and is getting gifts for.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Where were we? Oh, the
You're
Epic.
Paragraphs.
in. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, from Raffo. And what do y'all think about the book so far? Briefly.
From up to this day.
Yes.
Like I said, I think it's a great catapult into the rest of the book. Like it really ramps up this story. It's
Sure.
like we've done everything else. This is Wind and Truth. That's where I felt
Up
like
to
it
this point,
starts.
I'm really enjoying it. I feel like we're getting a deep dive into the thinking process of some characters that we have not seen as much of before,
Hmm.
and I'm really enjoying that perspective on, as I'm not specifying, but on certain characters.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think this whole book, and I don't think this is a spoiler because everyone knows they're in this book, but like just there's some chapters that are so surreal to me. I'm like, this is a crazy combination of POVs. Like there's one chapter that's Yasna, Sigil, and Venli. And it's just like, huh, back in like book one, these would be like minor characters, and it's just really cool seeing us progress
That's
to that.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I think
I
the humor sometimes I feel like the humor in days one and two vacillates between a fantastic setup and payoff and then toilet humor.
We get a lot
I
of
mean,
crazy
yeah,
like info though in this day. Like there's a
We do.
lot.
We do.
A lot of like substantiation. No, that was day
Right.
one, right?
Well, still.
But the creation sprint armor, Hoy just dropping that bomb on the stones and the Shinafar is just like
That was
just
fun.
randomly we get so
Yep.
much. Dalinar talking to cultivation, talking to the sibling, Stormfather. Just so much
Yeah.
info given here.
Yeah. I mean, and then I think we forgot to touch on this is the day that they find out that Odium is not Ray's anymore, but they don't know who it is.
Yes,
right.
that's
Yes,
right.
that's true. They just
Oh,
do know that
Hoy,
there is a new vessel for Odium.
yeah. Hoyt kicks himself. He's like calling himself all these like terrible names because he should
Yeah.
have realized it before. That was great. That was a good moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your guys' favorite moments from this day?
I
I would
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I would probably say that I enjoyed the entire like scenario plus the setup of the portal into the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I I really liked when Shallan was caught off guard by the if there's a guard watching for you, what do? You become the guard. And
Yeah,
Eatil
it was
and Reyes
crazy.
had done that. And I was like, ah, Sanderson, you
Yeah,
sly dog. You just done
I
this to
know.
us. Or we just did that to them, and now they've done that to us.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
should have seen it
That was,
coming.
yeah. Yeah.
Especially
Also,
when you
I
like go back and
enjoyed
reread it, and it's like he very specifically states it was too tall, one short, or too short, one
Yep.
tall. And then it goes to the guards like, huh, too short, one tall. Interesting. Anyways,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
like,
Anyways.
damn it, it's right there. Yeah.
Yep.
I also liked the description of Urithiru from the cognitive realm.
That was beautiful.
Mm,
Yeah. What
yeah.
about you, Trevor? What was your favorite part of this day?
I when I think of this day, I think of Dalinar and Shallan, and those are definitely my favorite moments. Wit is always great, but I think Shallan and the armor spren, just those moments with those ones, were my that's when I was the most like dialed in because of my theory on like if the armor spren would be have different perks. I don't
Sure.
know. It was my personal theories going into this book, and like seeing that I was one step closer to maybe being right. I was like, ooh, let's learn. I want to learn all about I can all about this that I can.
Sure.
So I was very attentive
Yeah.
during that. And when she locks the guard in it, I was like,
That was
oh, that was
clever.
great.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
should have
I
thought
was
of
about
that.
to I was
Yeah,
about to make a shout out to that moment because yeah, that was really clever.
Yeah.
yeah, that was great.
Very cool. Well, I think that is, unless anybody has any final thoughts, that's our day two recap and discussion. So, Griff, take us out.
All right, until next time, don't panic, world hoppers.
Life before death, strength before weakness,
I don't know what to say.
before
Before
destination.
destination.